With this half of the season slowly petering out to make way for the first and hopefully the last ever Winter World Cup in my lifetime anyway. And with Europe not really a concern for West Ham, given the fact that we've qualified and we're missing out on the playoff stages, etc. All eyes have begun to sort of focus on transfers. Yes, a full 2 months before the January transfer window opens, West Ham fans and all the social media press are asking whether we're going to spend any more money than we already did in the summer window when we spent over £160 million. The transfer rumour mill is well underway, and many people will often ask, well, has it ever really stopped since the summer? With West Ham stuttering in league form, many fans are asking whether we yet need to reinforce the squad that we currently have, or whether David Moyes is the right man to actually take us any further, and perhaps he should be replaced during the World Cup so that a new manager can come in and do something more with the squad that we currently have, and also be given time to bring in players during January and so on. But let's ponder on that for a moment, shall we? If we need to bring in more players to improve our current situation, then why not afford David Moyes that opportunity instead of yet another manager? The West Ham board are not really renowned for hiring and firing managers at will, and it's highly unlikely they're going to do so during mid-season. Come the end of the season, things might be a lot different, but I cannot see the board sacking Moyes during the World Cup. So we go back to the transfer rumour mill and the various players we have recently been linked to, and we ask whether Moyes will want to strengthen the squad himself and which positions he may be looking for in terms of making the squad stronger. There are quite a number of players that we've been linked to over the past week alone, let alone over the past couple of months. So I'm going to focus on those players, and you can find all the details of those on the website 6foot2.co.uk. If you've yet to become a member of 6foot2.co.uk, go to that. It's free membership. You get a whole load of information about all the latest updates on West Ham United, all the latest stories, player updates, news updates, exclusives. We have exclusives. Yes, we do. And anything about transfers, players that are likely to be linked to us, and so on and so forth. So do go. If you've yet to become a member, do go and become a member of that website. It's really good. So let's start off, shall we, with the first player that we were linked to. And these are a couple of these players are players that we were linked to during the summer. So they've kind of resurfaced again. And the first one is Jacob Kiwior of Spezia, Italian club Spezia. The rumours linking us with Kiwior were knocking around for some time in the summer transfer window. He's a left-sided defender. And especially when we got the injury to Naif Gerd, the rumour mill was suggesting that we might be looking at a player like Kiwior in order to replace Gerd while he was out injured. He's only been with the Serie A side, Spezia, for just over a season, having joined the Italian club in a £2 million deal in the summer of 2021 from Slovakian club MSK Žilina. He's primarily, as I've already said, a left-footed centre-back, but could be regarded as a future replacement for Angelo Ogbonna, whose current contract with West Ham United comes at an end at the end of this season. Many would argue that perhaps we need a left-back rather than another left-footed centre-back. But with Gerd demonstrating that he is more than capable and more than comfortable of playing in a centre of back three, someone like Kiwior could come in to complement the Moroccan international by lining up on the left side of Gerd. Kiwior is a Polish international. He's a bit of a no-nonsense type of defender who's got great ability in individual duels against attacking players. His tall frame also enables him to carry the ball out of defence with relative ease. It's suggested that despite paying a nominal fee by Spezia of around £2 million, if they were to sell Kiwior, they'll be looking for a figure of something up to £30 million. Now, whether they're going to get anything near that is highly unlikely. If you look at Transfer Market, his value there is only rated at around 5 million. I dare say it's a bit more than that, but certainly not the 30 million mark. He's indeed a pretty decent player, 22 years of age, but not quite the finished article yet. He may well continue to be a solid defender, but there are questions whether he will become a world-class defender. But perhaps the pending World Cup will help us to evaluate whether he will be or not. He's going to be in the group stages of the World Cup. He'll be facing Argentina, so that's going to be a test for him. And only then we might know the true value of this player. Next up, another player that we were linked to during the summer transfer window is 29-year-old Ukrainian international Ruslan Malinovskyi. He signed for the Serie A side, Atalanta, for a fee of just over £12 million in 2019. He's since made 139 appearances for the Italian club, scoring 30 goals with 27 assists. That's not bad for a league that prides itself in defense, in being very defensive. That's a pretty prolific strike rate and an assist rate for a midfielder. 10 of the goals and 7 of these assists came in the 2021 and 22 season. He hasn't been quite as prolific this season. In 11 appearances, he's only notched up 1 goal and 1 assist so far. Apparently, he's fallen out of favour with the current manager at Atalanta, but he only has a year left on his contract as well. Well, it ends at the end of this season. So at the end of this, in January, he can quite likely sign a pre-contract agreement with a foreign club. He's valued at anything up to £25 million, but given the fact that he'll be 30 when next season starts, and the fact that he's only in his final year of his contract, a £25 million fee will be quite a tall order for Atalanta to insist on. With our attacking midfield lacking a player that can create and score goals, Malinovskyi could indeed be a valuable addition to West Ham United. Many fans are questioning whether players such as Lanzini or Fornals still has anything to offer West Ham, and Malinovskyi might be that link that we need to fill the attacking midfield gap. We've got other players, of course. We've got Paquetá that's come into that role. But Paquetá, still finding his feet. But it's always good to have an alternative. If it's not going to be Fornals and if it's not going to be Lanzini, it's always good to have an alternative option. And maybe Malinovskyi, despite the fact that he's 29 years of age, he's got a lot of experience and he could be a player that could bring an awful lot to West Ham United. Next up, and yet another player that was linked to us in the summer transfer window, more on a loan bid rather than a complete buyout, and that's Aaron Wan-Bissaka. His absence from the team against West Ham United at the weekend has also picked up on the rumour mill concerning his future, and again, it's in the spotlight again. Look, despite making just a 4-minute appearance against Liverpool earlier in the season, Wan-Bissaka has actually been out of the squad because he's been injured with back trouble. At 24 years of age, it's too early to suggest that this right-back's career is really not is over. Clearly, things haven't gone well for him at Man United, but it's very possible that current manager Ten Hag may not consider the player as part of his future plans. But there must be a good reason why Man United parted with just under £50 million for the player in 2019. Back then, he was described as a resilient fullback who was one of the brightest talents in the Premier League with his excellent displays at his boyhood club, Crystal Palace. He is yet another Moyes type of defender, again, another no-nonsense type of defender. However, the modern game demands our fullbacks to be more as effective going forward as they are in defence. And maybe this is an area of Wan-Bissaka's that is still slightly lacking. In the season before he moved to Man United, he made the most tackles of any defenders in the Premier League. He is also a great ball carrier. He's got exceptional pace and certainly does contribute towards the modern game. It's just his final pass, his crossing ability that needs to be improved upon. In 127 appearances at Man United, we did start seeing signs that he's making a contribution where he's assisted with 10 assists. We have seen that perhaps despite the great acquisition of Thilo Kehrer, Wan-Bissaka could be another useful addition to West Ham in replacing 30-year-old Vladimir Coufal, who is also in his final year of his contract at West Ham, and that's if West Ham don't trigger the extension clause that he currently has. Perhaps another cheeky loan bid or a cheeky loan bid for Wan-Bissaka to take him on loan for the rest of this season. That wouldn't really be such a bad idea. Let's move on to some names that have been linked to the club over the past few weeks. New names. First up is Isaiah Jones. He's a winger at Middlesbrough, contracted with them till 2025, valued at around £5 million, 23 years of age. He broke into the Middlesbrough team last season and did pretty well. In 47 appearances, he only scored the one goal, but he assisted in 9 others. His form this season has been somewhat sporadic, where he scored and assisted in 3. He scored 2 and assisted in 3 in 17 appearances. New Borough coach Michael Carrick has talked about giving Jones the freedom on the park to express himself. However, as we know, David Moyes isn't that necessarily that kind of manager. He would expect his players, especially his midfielders, to do their fair share of graft, as well as displaying their attacking skills on the field of play. Jones, another one, is by far the finished article, and it's going through a bit of a sticky patch at the moment at Middlesbrough, but he does indeed have an awful lot of potential. However, is he really one to be considered for West Ham? I'm not altogether so sure. Next up is a very interesting and quite an exciting footballer, Hugo Guillamon, the defensive midfielder for Valencia. He's contracted with the club till 2026, valued at around about £25 million, 22 years of age. He developed through the Valencia youth system and originally as a centre-back. However, in his displays at centre-back, he showed quite a lot of weaknesses rather than a lot of strengths. He was slow in recovery, struggled to concentrate, and often seemed to be blindsided, which would expose him and catch him out. Plus, he seemed to get easily bullied in 50-50 duels. Move him into a defensive midfield role, as he did last season, and we get to see a completely different player. He's excellent on the ball. He's an asset to the attacking play. He's got great passing ability, and in midfield, he seems to have a much better reading of the game overall. That doesn't stop him from the fact that he still needs to contribute defensively, and perhaps without the pressure of being a central defender, in midfield, he has excelled in his defensive midfield duties. His displays have earned him 3 caps for the senior Spanish side, and there's a good chance that he will be in the Spanish World Cup squad later this month. In 11 appearances, he has assisted with 3 goals, and has become quite a vital cog to the Valencia lineup. He's only just recently signed an extended contract, literally the beginning of October, which will keep him there till 2026. So to prize him away is going to take an awful lot of effort, and not to mention quite a bit of money as well. There are other players I can talk about. There's such as Danish under-21 international winger Gustav Isaksen, who plays for FC Midtjylland, the club that we bought Winston Reid from. Or there's Dion Drena Beljo, the 20-year-old under-21 Croatian international, who apparently we've scouted, who plays for Croatian side NK Osijek. Or even the regurgitated slow Newsday story that we're still looking at signing Boulaye Dia. We're not, but anyway. But I won't carry on with those. Instead, I'll finish with a couple of young players that we're potentially looking at to bring into the academy squad. Aidan McGinley, according to Scottish Daily Record, there are meant to be 3 clubs who have scouted the young Partick Thistle under-16s left-sided midfielder who's been scoring quite frequently of late. West Ham have scouted some really good players, future talents from Irish leagues and the Scottish leagues, and McGinley could be the next in line. And last up is AFC Wimbledon midfielder Alfie Bendel. The player has made his league debut at the end of last season, and he's also made 7 league appearances this season as well. Primarily a midfielder who can also play as a right back, he's regarded as another talent for the future who could flourish in the academy system at West Ham. Wimbledon don't want to lose the player permanently and would rather loan the player out to get some senior experience. But I can't honestly see that he would break into the West Ham senior team, maybe the under-21s at West Ham, but not necessarily the senior team. That's it. A brief roundup. There is the game coming up against FCSB on Thursday, and I'll bring you a brief update as to who's playing, who's potentially going to play in that game, what the lineup may be, and so on and so forth. But I'll do that on Thursday. Thank you for watching. Much appreciated, and I'll see you all soon.